Activities of illegal miners have left a number of river bodies in the country untreatable. We are also hearing that half of the major water bodies in the country have been polluted. This is leading to the challenges with the provision of water to the ordinary Ghanaian. That makes it a political issue, and that brings it on Politicos here on Citi TV with me, Umaru Sanda Amadu. So major river bodies in the country have been polluted due to the activities of persons who have now been popularly known as illegal or Galamsey miners. These are illegal persons who use all manner of unorthodox means to mine gold and other mineral resources in the earth. They put their machinery, heavy machinery, into the river bodies and they pollute same. This has led to the shutdown of a number of water treatment plants in the country. Now, the man who has led a task force, the first time a task force was set up to clamp down on the Galamsey activities, is the minister currently for roads and highways. At the time, he was a minister for lands and natural resources. The Honorable Alhaji Inusah Fuseini is MP for Tamale Central. You're welcome to Politicos. He's my guest today.
Thank you, Umaru.
You set up a task force in 2014. It was inaugurated by the president in May 2014. First of all, take us back as the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Why did you decide to do this?
No, well, let's put it this way. I was directed by the president to set up a task force to clean up the mining sector of illegalities, generally speaking. That is to sanitize small-scale mining, to ensure that light-scale miners have conduct their activities in accordance with the law. Also, register as much as possible small-scale miners so that they could be organized and bring some regulation into the mining sector in this country. So, and this was founded on the manifesto of the NDC, which had said in 2012 that action will be taken to sanitize the small-scale mining sector.
So essentially, what was the task force going to do to clamp down on illegal?
My task force was to sanitize the small-scale mining sector. Okay. Now, arrest and prosecute, where possible, illegal small-scale miners.
And these are what we call the Galamsey.
The Galamsey, yes.
Okay.
Okay, Galamsey is just the corrupted phrase, gather and sell. Okay. So Galamsey. So the small-scale mining sector. And then, I mean, there were large-scale mining sectors which were, also complicit in the whole activity. And so to see what could be done to ensure that their activities were brought within the law. And
the issue came to a head when news broke that there were a lot of Chinese men or Chinese nationals involved in this act. And I remember soon after this committee or the task force was launched, you told us about the repatriation of thousands of Chinese.
5,000 Chinese more than 5,000 Chinese were repatriated, and about 180 or so West African nationals were repatriated.
And this was in May 2014. We are talking now, we are in September 2016, and the statistics available are acute water shortage is looming because of that. We are hearing there's a national crisis in 14 years if the current situation pertains. We are also hearing that average trend of water quality declined from 2005 to 2014. The main finger is pointing to the activities of illegal miners. If you look at the water bodies, the water in them looks milky. The government has been talking about providing water to the ordinary Ghanaian. 80 million gallons or so we heard recently. If these activities persist, we are not going to attain that.
Well, no, first of all, that is broadly speaking. But Galamsey activities are not all over the country. And in the Sola Tuna Kalwa area, clearly,
in the northern region,
I mean, the water bodies will not be compromised by the activities of small-scale miners. Or in the Upper West region, there are no small-scale miners there.
Because there are no mineral resources
there. No, they are there, but it's difficult to mine. But largely, I agree entirely with you. And that was what motivated me to give it my all. I understand natural resource law. In fact, my second degree in law is on natural resources. So clearly, I understood the importance of natural resources to the development of this country. Secondly, I mean, we as present generations have an abiding responsibility to conduct ourselves in such a way that we don't compromise the ability of the future generations to also live, provide for themselves. That is what we call sustainable development. Okay? And so in promoting sustainable development, you must always be acutely aware of intergenerational equity. Why do we, if our forefathers had compromised the water bodies, we will be having difficulties today. We have a responsibility to pass on to the next generation water bodies that are better than we made them, not worse than we made them. So that was my understanding. Secondly, go back into history. Where gold was prevalent in the Ashanti region, Eastern region, Western region, folklore has it that our ancestors prevented mining in water bodies. They simply said that mining was not allowed in water bodies because they knew the importance of water bodies.
So that is folklore, that is tradition. But as recent as 2 years ago, this task force was launched and under your watch. But why are we still seeing issues or hearing stories about activities of illegal miners if there's a task force in place?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
You are known by the ministry.
Yes, I don't know of the current status of the task force. But I always say that you need a strong will.
Strong will at which level?
At the level of policy, at the level of implementation. To be able to deal with Galamsey because it's so pervasive. And there have been many attempts by previous governments to do what I did in 2012, in 2013 actually. And they have all resulted in failures. In fact, some political parties have not even had the courage, or governments have not even had the courage to do what I did, because it's so pervasive. And if you are going to look at the political fallout, you might think that it's quite dangerous to do that. But you must weigh that against the devastating effects of small-scale mining. And if you do the pros and the cons, you will come to but one conclusion, that small-scale mining ought to be regulated, and regulated in such a way that it becomes sustainable.
You use a keyword there, the political will from policy, but setting up a task force is a political will, isn't it?
Yes, it was. And I say that many people lauded the initiative. The president is on record to have said many times over that whatever were the consequences of the setting up of the task force and the cleaning of the small-scale sector are part of the political decisions one makes for the betterment of this country. So I have no doubt that the president wholeheartedly supported it. In fact, it was because the president supported me that I was able to do what I did.
But if it comes to the fine implementation, that is brought down to the ministry level, the Ministry for Water Resources, Works and Housing. And so are you now saying that you don't think that the political will you had, which made you fold your trousers and your sleeves and went down and chased Galamsey operators? I remember you even deployed drones. Are you saying that that is lacking now at the ministry?
I say that there's a change. I mean, you see, it's about leadership. It's about persons. It's about attitude. Inusah is no longer at the ministry. There's a minister there. His attitude, worldview, perception of the problem might be different from Inusah. His understanding of it might be different from Inusah. His understanding of the policy imperatives might be different. His understanding of the priorities might be different. To be honest with you, even in talking to you, you can see the passion. I was very passionate about that because in natural resource accounting, Umaru, the water that flows from Etiwa comes to us free of charge. It's God in His infinite wisdom who gave us the forest, and the forest is a catchment area for 3 water bodies. The number of people who depend on the water bodies are uncountable. Natural free water. In your intro, you just said that the activities of illegal small-scale miners is compromising the ability of the Ghana Water Company to produce clean water for the people. You know what that means? That means additional cost.
Some plants have been shut down, which means additional costs because they have to buy more.
You understand? So when you go back into history, few years ago, and see the purity levels of the water and the amount of money that was needed to treat the water as against now, you will see clearly that we ought not to entertain illegal small-scale mining, because it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. You see, and this one is even more like different. It's not robbery. Why? Illegal small-scale miners do not pay tax. They do not contribute anything by way of fees and levies to government. Meanwhile, their activities pollute the water bodies. And then we use good money, taxes that are paid by people, to treat these waters for all of us to consume, including the illegal small-scale miner. Meanwhile, he is largely responsible for the act.
This is Politicos on Citi TV. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest today is the Minister for Roads and Highways, the Honorable Alhaji Inusah Fuseini. But we are not talking about roads today. We are talking about a ministry he once served, the Ministry for Water Resources Works, Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources, I beg your pardon. That's a ministry that supervises mining activities. He, under his watch as a minister, we saw the setting up of a task force that was supposed to clamp down on the activities of illegal mining. 2 years down the line, we are still having the conversation, and we are here to ask him, to tap into his mind and ask him, what did we get wrong from the beginning? Alhaji, do you regret leaving the ministry at a crucial time when you were
how can I regret? I didn't put myself there in the first place. It's like a appointment of ministers is like a chess game. The president looks at your individual capacities and what you can contribute towards the meeting the legitimate and reasonable expectations of Ghanaians in his government, and he pushes the pieces. So in the first chessboard, the president pushed me to lands and natural resources, because that was where he felt my experience, expertise, and was needed. And then along the line, he pushed me to roads and highways.
My reason for using regret is because you appear very passionate, and we have seen it when you were there, very passionate about this project. But since your departure from the ministry, not much has been seen, and I believe you are also not happy with what is happening there.
One of your colleagues, when I started the Galamsey, came to interview me, and while we were talking, and he said, "Minister, you know what? Listening to you, I think that this is an appointment His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has gotten right." So, like I said, I don't regret leaving the ministry.
But you regret
I feel that more ought to be done. I also feel that we ought to have followed through. We initiated a lot of legislation. Those pieces of legislation have since been passed into law, making illegal small-scale mining a very expensive activity, okay?
Criminal activity.
Criminal. In those days that I was leading the task force, we didn't have the power to confiscate. Now we do. We do. The law even gives the minister or government the power to imprison.
For illegal mining.
Illegal mining. So we need enforcement. The law came out of what we had perceived and encountered, including the small-scale mining sector. And we thought that we should amend the law to make it very robust in dealing with this issue. But actually, that is one part of the issue. Using law and order to sanitize is the first option, because the state has the monopoly of coercive power. And the state, and the president swore on the Constitution and on the Bible to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. The Constitution of the Republic of Ghana includes all the laws. Article 11 of the Constitution. All the laws of the country are recognized by the Constitution. So when you swear on the Constitution, you swear to uphold all the laws of this country. Now, so in upholding the laws, illegal small-scale mining cannot be tolerated under any legal framework in Ghana. So the president enforced it. But that's law and order. Now, but people are drawn to illegal small-scale mining. Why? Because it provides an avenue for employment. Because we are now faced with unemployment problems. So people must eat. So they will be drawn to it. How do you make illegal small-scale mining sustainable? Make licensing easier to come by. Parcel out large portions of land and declare them zones for small-scale mining.
You have identified these problems, I mean, which we already know about. You have also acknowledged the challenge or failure to enforce. So you talk about enforcement as an issue. The enforcement is supposed to be done at the ministry. What could possibly be preventing the ministry from carrying out these, or from enforcing the law? Because could it be that they are being threatened? For instance, when you're doing this job, did you have a threat to your life?
Well, I had threats, but what are threats? I mean, that's what you're a public servant. You have been appointed to perform a certain responsibility. You must understand that all responsibilities come with challenges. Why? People, I mean, I had to move to this house because I was advised to do so. At the time that I was carrying out the assignment of flashing out illegal small-scale miners from the mining fields in Ghana, I was living in my own house behind the trade fair. And a lot of people lost property. So, no, national security felt that it was unsafe for me to continue to live there. So, they advised that I acquire, an official place and move in town. That's how serious it was. I mean, people lost a lot of money.
Would that be the reason your successor is unable to take the issue heads on like you have?
Well, I've not really had discussions with my successors, and so I don't want to conjecture. I just think that probably we did not follow through. Because there are other stakeholders. No Chinese man or other foreign national or even Ghanaian can go to any area in this country and start mining. It's not possible. Because no parcel of land is in Ghana without an owner.
Well, if you had any fears what Galamsey could cause a nation, you have seen it now. Join the campaign, Stop Galamsey Now. That is a campaign here at Citi FM, Citi TV. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. Do join me same time next week on Politicos.